Hi friends, we are back again with another part of Diary of a Wimpy Kid. So this would technically be part 6, I believe. So we are on Sunday. Rowley ended up getting grounded for the whole haunted house mess yesterday. He's not allowed to watch TV for a week, and he's not allowed to have me over at his house during that time. The last part really isn't fair because that's punishing me, and I didn't even do anything wrong. And now where am I supposed to play my video games? Anyway, I felt kind of bad for Rowley, so tonight I try to make it up to him. I turned on one of Rowley's favorite TV shows, and I did a play-by-play over the phone so he could kind of experience it that way. Wow, look at the size of that flamethrower. Oh, yeah, never mind. I did my best to keep up with what was going on screen, but to be honest with you, I'm not sure if Rowley was getting the full effect. I bet this part is going to be funny. I was right. It was funny. And Rowley has no idea what's going on. Tuesday. Well, Rowley's grounding is finally over, and just in time for Halloween, too. I went up to his house to check out his costume, and I have to admit, I'm a little jealous. Rowley's mom got him this night costume that's way cooler than his costume from last year. His night outfit came with everything. A helmet, a shield, a real sword. Does look pretty sweet. I've never had a store-bought costume before. I still haven't figured out what I'm going to go as tomorrow night, so I'll probably just throw something together at the last minute. I figure maybe I'll bring back the toilet paper mummy again. But I think it's supposed to rain tomorrow night, so that might not be the smartest choice. In the past few years, the grown-ups in my neighborhood have been getting kind of cranky about my lame costumes, and I'm starting to think it's actually having an effect on the amount of candy I'm bringing in. What are you supposed to be? A cowboy? So he has on 2 hats to make a cowboy hat. I don't think that's how it works. But I don't really have time to be putting together a good costume because I'm in charge of planning out the best route for me and Rowley to take tomorrow night. This year, I've come up with a plan that'll get us at least twice the candy we scored last year. Halloween. About an hour before we were supposed to start trick-or-treating, I still didn't have a costume. At that point, I was seriously thinking about going as a cowboy for the 2nd year in a row. But then Mom knocked at my door and handed me a pirate costume with an eye patch and a hook and everything. Rowley showed up at around 6:30 wearing his night costume, but it didn't look anything like it did yesterday. Rowley's mom made all these safety improvements to it, and you couldn't even tell what he was supposed to be anymore. So that's his pretty sweet pirate costume. She cut out a big hole in the front of the helmet so he could see better and covered him up in this reflective tape. She made him wear his winter coat underneath everything, and she replaced his sword with a giant glow stick. Womp, womp, womp. I grabbed my pillowcase and me and Rowley started to head out, but Mom stopped us before we could get out the door. I want you to take Manny with you. Oh, and there's Manny. He looks like a little tiny pirate. Man, I should have known there was a catch when Mom gave me that costume. I told Mom there was no way we were taking Manny with us because we were going to hit 152 houses in 3 hours. And plus, we were going to be on Snake Road, which is too dangerous for a little kid like Manny. I should never have mentioned the last part because the next thing I know, Mom was telling Dad he had to go along with us to make sure we didn't step foot outside our neighborhood. Dad tried to squirm out of it, but once Mom makes up her mind, there's no way you can change it. Before we even got out of our own driveway, we ran into our neighbor, Mr. Mitchell, and his kid, Jeremy, so of course they tagged along with us. Manny and Jeremy wouldn't trick-or-treat at any house with spooky decorations on them, so that ruled out pretty much every house on our block. Dad and Mr. Mitchell started talking about football or something, and every time one of them wanted to make a point, they'd stop walking. Blah, 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 blah. So we were hitting only about one house every 20 minutes. After a couple of hours, Dad and Mr. Mitchell took the little kids home. I was glad because that meant me and Rowley could take off. My pillowcase was almost empty, so I wanted to make up as much time as possible. A little while later, Rowley told me he needed a potty break. I made him hold it off for another 45 minutes, but by the time we got to my Graham's house, it was pretty clear that if I didn't let Rowley use the bathroom, it was going to get messy. So I told Rowley if he wasn't back outside in 1 minute, I was going to start helping myself to his candy. So it looks like Rowley's really got to go. After that, we headed back out on the road, but it's already 10:30, and I guess that's when most grown-ups decided Halloween is over. You can kind of tell because that's when they start coming to the door in their pajamas and giving you the evil eye. We decided to head home. We made up a lot of time after Dad and Manny left, so I was pretty satisfied with how much candy we took in. When we were halfway home, this pickup truck came rolling down on the street with a bunch of high school kids in it. So that's the guy giving them an evil eye. The kid in the back was holding a fire extinguisher, and when the truck passed by us, he opened fire. Oh no. I have to give Rowley credit because he blocked about 95% of the water with a shield, and if he hadn't done that, all of our candy would have gotten soaked. When the truck drove by, it yelled out something that I regretted about 2 seconds later. "We're calling the cops!" The driver slammed on the brakes and he turned his truck around. Me and Rowley started running, but those guys were right on our heels. The only place I could think of that was safe was Graham's house, so we cut through a couple yards to get there. Graham was in bed already, but I knew she keeps a key under the mat on her front porch. Once we got inside, I looked out the window to see if those guys had followed us, and sure enough, they did. I tried to trick them into leaving, but they wouldn't budge. Well, I guess now that we're safe on our own house, you can't get us. After a while, we realized the teenagers were going to wait us out, so we decided we were just going to have to spend the night at Graham's. That's when we started getting cocky, making monkey noises at the teenagers and whatnot. Well, at least I was making monkey noises. Rowley was kind of making owl noises, but I guess it was the same general idea. Ooh, ee, ooh, ooh. I called Mom to tell her we were going to crash at Graham's for the night, but Mom sounded really mad on the phone. She said it was a school night and that we had to get home right that instant, so that meant we were going to have to make a run for it. I looked out the window, and this time I didn't see the truck, but I knew those guys were hiding somewhere, and they were just trying to draw us out. So we snuck out the back door, hopped over Graham's fence, and ran all the way to Snake Road. I figured our chances were better there because there aren't any street lights. Snake Road is scary enough on its own without having a truckload of teenagers haunting you down. Every time we saw a car or something, we dove into the bushes. It must have taken us a half hour to go 100 yards. So they look pretty scared. But believe it or not, we made it all the way home without getting caught. Neither one of us let our guard down until we got to my driveway. So look, they look pretty happy to be home. But right then, there was this awful scream, and we saw a big wave of water coming towards us. Man, I forgot all about Dad, and we totally paid the price. When me and Rowley got inside, we laid out all of our candy on the kitchen table, so his own dad soaked them. The only things we could salvage were a couple of mints that were wrapped in cellophane and the toothbrushes Dr. Garrison gave us. I think next Halloween I'll just stay at home and mooch some Butterfingers from the bowl Mom keeps on top of the refrigerator. Alright, so it sounds like they had a pretty eventful Halloween. Next is November, so I will see you guys then.